Some say grief makes men weak, others say it makes them dangerous. This is the story of Ikenna, a son whose love for his mother crossed the boundary between the living and the dead. In the quiet village of Umweke, where the sun often poured silver light over the sleeping huts and the rustle of palm fronds whispered old secrets into the night, there lived a young man named Ikenna, whose life had always been marked by shadows of sorrow. His father had long departed from this world, and though his mother, Adaku, had raised him with tenderness and resilience, a sickness crept upon her like an uninvited guest that would not leave, draining her strength day after day, until the once lively woman, known in the marketplace for her laughter, became no more than a pale ghost upon her mat, coughing into the silence of their small mud hut. When the final breath escaped her lips, the hut seemed to shiver in despair, for Adaku's death was not only the end of a mother's love, but also the unraveling of Ikenna's fragile grip on sanity. The villagers gathered as tradition demanded to prepare the body for burial, and while women washed her skin with herbs and oils, murmuring prayers that her spirit might find peace, Ikenna sat in a corner, his eyes wide open and unblinking, staring at his mother's lifeless form, as though by sheer will he could pull her back into the realm of the living. The burial was swift, for in the hot climate of Umweke, the dead could not linger long above the earth. The drums were beating in solemn rhythm, and the elders chanted stories of Adaku's kindness, her laughter, her generosity. Yet, while others mourned with weeping, Ikenna remained disturbingly still, his face locked in an expression that was neither grief nor peace, but something in between. A haunted emptiness that unsettled even the oldest of the villagers. And when the body was laid into the ground, wrapped in white cloth, and lowered into the red earth, Ikenna's eyes followed every movement with a hunger that made the women whisper to one another and draw their children close. That night, when the mourners had gone and the moon watched silently from his throne in the sky, Ikenna could not bring himself to sleep. He lay upon his raffia mat, tossing and turning, hearing his mother's voice in the wind and imagining her footsteps in the creak of the bamboo walls. At last, unable to endure the weight of emptiness pressing upon his chest, he rose and walked barefoot into the forest, following the path that led to the fresh mound of soil where Adaku lay. The air was heavy with the scent of the earth and the soft cries of night birds, and as he stood before the grave, he whispered her name over and over, begging her to answer, to return, to save him from the vast loneliness that swallowed him whole. What happened next was the beginning of a tale the villagers would whisper about for generations, though none could ever decide whether it was madness, witchcraft, or something darker still. For instead of turning back as any sane man would have done, Ikenna fell to his knees upon the grave, clawing at the soil with his bare hands until his nails bled and the skin tore from his fingers. The moonlight caught the glisten of sweat and blood as he dug, faster and faster, until at last the cloth-wrapped form of his mother was revealed once more, her face pale and rigid, her body stiff but untouched by decay. With trembling arms, he lifted her, cradling her against his chest as though she were a child once more, whispering words of comfort and promises of love, his tears soaking into the burial cloth, and in that moment, something inside Ikenna broke beyond repair. For rather than returning her to the ground and covering her with the dignity of earth, he carried her back through the forest, speaking to her as though she were alive, as though her silence were simply shyness, and her stillness only sleep. By dawn, when the roosters crowed and the villagers stirred from their huts, Ikenna's door was closed, and no one dared knock. Though whispers spread quickly through the marketplace, someone had seen him in the night carrying a bundle too large for firewood, too heavy for yam harvest, and the dogs had barked and howled as though chasing the scent of death itself. Inside the hut, Where the morning light struggled to pierce the gloom, Ikenna laid his mother upon his mat and stroked her cold hair, promising that he would never leave her again. The hut, once filled with the warmth of Adaku's laughter, became a prison of silence, and in that silence began the darkest chapters of Fumeke's history. A chapter whispered in trembling voices around the fire, with children warned never to walk alone at night near the path that led to Ikenna's hut.